If you had walked past her that morning, you would not have stopped. She did not call out to customers. She did not wave. She did not decorate her stall. She stood quietly as she always did. And yet, standing there on a narrow street in Lagos, Nigeria, was a woman whose hands would one day build an empire. But on this morning she was invisible. The city roared around her, engines coughing, vendors shouting, music spilling from cracked speakers. But she made no sound. Her name was Adunni, and almost no one knew it. Lagos is not a patient city. It does not slow down for dreams. It does not stop for grief. It does not wait for anyone to catch up. Every day millions wake up running, chasing buses, money, deadlines, survival. And if you fall behind, the city steps over you. Adunni knew this. She had lived here long enough to understand one rule. If you want to survive in Lagos, you must be loud. But Adunni was not loud. She had never learned how to be. At the edge of a crowded junction, beside a cracked concrete wall, Adunni set up her stall every morning before sunrise. A small wooden table, a charcoal stove blackened by years of smoke, 2 aluminum pots with dented sides. No banner, no menu, no prices written anywhere. Only the smell. Slow, deep, unfamiliar. She cooked food most people no longer recognized. Food that took time. Food that reminded the body before the mind. Adunni cooked the way her grandmother taught her. Not fast, not flashy, not for applause. She ground pepper by hand. She fermented grains overnight. She stirred sauces slowly, patiently, as if rushing them would insult their history. Her grandmother used to say, "These meals fed people when there was no money, no roads, no promises." As a child, Adunni would sit on the kitchen floor, watching her grandmother's hands move with quiet confidence. There were no written recipes, only memory. And when her grandmother died, that memory became Adunni's inheritance. Nothing else. There was no dramatic funeral, no inheritance meeting, no relatives offering help. When her grandmother was gone, the house emptied quickly, of people, of laughter, of security. Adunni stayed. She stayed because she had nowhere else to go. And because those recipes, those forgotten meals, were the only proof that her life had come from somewhere. So she cooked, not because she dreamed of success, but because cooking was the only way she knew how to stay alive. Every day Adunni cooked for hours before selling anything. Some days she sold nothing at all. People passed her to buy fried food wrapped in paper. Some laughed quietly when they saw her stall. Others looked confused. "Who still eats this?" one man muttered. Adunni heard them all. She never responded. Silence had become her armor. One afternoon, an elderly man stopped in front of her stall. He looked at the food, then at his empty hands. "I will come back later," he said softly. Adunni nodded. Adunni nodded. As he turned to leave, she packed a small portion and held it out to him. "No charge," she said. The man hesitated. Then his eyes filled. She did not wait for thanks. She had learned long ago that kindness did not need witnesses. That same day, another man stood across the road. He did not speak at first. He watched. He watched Adunni cook. He watched her serve. He watched her give food away. Finally, he crossed the street. He spoke with an accent Adunni did not recognize. "Why don't you advertise?" he asked. Adunni smiled politely. "I don't know how," she said. He hesitated, then asked another question. "Can I record you?" She shrugged. "If you want," she replied. She did not ask why. She had nothing to protect. That evening, the stranger uploaded a short video. No music, no filters, no editing, just a quiet woman, cooking forgotten food on a loud street. Adunni went home, washed her hands, and slept. She had no idea that while she rested, the world had begun to notice her silence, and by morning, nothing would ever be the same. The video would cross oceans. It would reach people who had never heard of Lagos, and it would force Adunni to make a choice she never wanted to face. To stay quiet, or to be seen. The morning after the video was posted, Adunni woke up the same way she always did. Before sunrise, before noise, before the city decided who mattered that day. She washed her face. She tied her scarf. She cooked. Nothing about her routine changed, because she did not know the world had found her. While Adunni stirred her pots in Lagos, phones buzzed in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles. The video had crossed oceans overnight. Americans stopped scrolling, not because the food looked fancy, not because the camera was good, but because the woman in the video did not perform. She did not smile for approval. She did not explain herself. She did not ask to be liked. She simply cooked. And people felt something they could not name. The comments grew faster than the views. Why does this feel so peaceful? This woman cooks like she's praying. Why do I trust her without knowing her? Someone help her open a restaurant. Some comments came from Nigerians abroad. This food saved my childhood. I haven't seen this since my grandmother died. Others came from Americans who had never tasted Nigerian food. I don't know what this is, but I want it. She looks like someone who survived a lot. No one could explain why they cared. They just did. That morning, Adunni stood behind her stall as usual. Only this time, people stopped. They didn't buy immediately. They stared. One woman whispered, "Is that her?" Another lifted a phone. Adunni felt uncomfortable. She adjusted her scarf. "Is something wrong?" she asked. No one answered. They were too busy filming. By midday, the street was crowded. Not with customers, with curiosity. People asked questions she did not understand. Are you the woman from the video? How long have you been cooking? Do you have Instagram? Adunni answered honestly. I cook here. I don't have a phone. That answer confused people more than the food. A young woman finally stepped forward. She held out her phone. Look, she said gently. Adunni leaned in. She saw herself on the screen. Her hands, her pots, her silence. She watched strangers praise her cooking. She watched numbers climb. She watched comments from places she had never imagined. Her throat tightened. Not with pride, with fear. Adunni had never wanted attention. Attention felt dangerous. Growing up, attention meant trouble. Attention meant expectations. Attention meant disappointment. She had learned to survive by staying unnoticed. Now the world was staring. She wanted to disappear. That evening, a well-dressed woman arrived. She did not film. She did not shout. She waited patiently. My boss wants to meet you, she said. Adunni hesitated. For what? She asked. The woman smiled. He believes what you are doing is rare. The meeting was small. No cameras, just a table, 2 chairs, and a contract. They spoke of kitchens, distribution, packaging, growth, words Adunni had never planned to learn. Her hands shook. What if people stopped caring? She asked quietly. The man across from her leaned forward. They already care, he said. The question is, do you trust that? That night, Adunni did not cook. She sat in her room, contract beside her. Her grandmother's words echoed. Food remembers people, and even when people forget you. She understood something new. Maybe the food had remembered her. By sunrise, Adunni would sign the paper. And once she did, she would no longer be invisible. But visibility has a price. She would learn what it truly costs. To grow without losing your soul. The morning after Adunni signed the contract, she woke up with a heaviness she had never felt before. Not excitement, not pride. Responsibility. The city outside her window was already awake. But for the first time, she wished it would wait. Because once you say yes to growth, there's no quiet way back. The kitchen they gave her was small, clean, and unfamiliar. No smoke-stained walls, no chipped pots, no memory in the corners. Everything was new, too new. Adunni stood in the center of the room, apron in hand, and felt something unexpected tighten in her chest. Fear, not of failure, but of losing the thing that made the food hers. They hired women to cook under her supervision. Some were older than her, some younger. All of them watched her closely. They expected instructions. Adunni gave none. She washed her hands slowly. She chopped carefully. She stirred patiently. At first, some thought she was unsure. Then they realized she was deliberate. One woman whispered, She cooks like time doesn't exist. Orders didn't grow gently. They surged. Phones rang nonstop. Emails piled up. Requests came from places she had never visited. The investors were pleased. Too pleased, because with success comes impatience. Let's double production, one said. Let's simplify the steps, said another. No one will taste the difference. Adunni felt the room closing in. She said no. Not loudly, not defiantly. Just no. The room went still. People exchanged looks. Someone laughed awkwardly. This is business, a man said. You can't be sentimental. Adunni stared at the table. This is not sentiment, she replied. This is the food. The resistance did not come as a threat. It came as a concern. We're worried about you. You're underestimating the moment. You don't want to miss this chance. Friends joined in. You've never had this kind of opportunity. People would kill for this. At night, Adunni lay awake. listening to the city hum. What if they were right? What if silence was no longer strength, but fear pretending to be principle? Then it happened. A major distributor walked away. No argument, no warning. Just a polite email. The numbers dipped. The mood shifted. The investors stopped smiling. One finally asked what everyone was thinking. Are you prepared to take responsibility if this fails? The question settled heavy on her shoulders. That night, Adunni returned to the kitchen alone. No staff, no cameras, no pressure, just a pot on the stove. She cooked the way she always had. Slowly, as the smell filled the room, a memory returned uninvited. Her grandmother cooked during hard years, refusing to rush even when hungry. Food remembers people, her grandmother had said. Adunni understood now. This wasn't about pride. It was about trust. The next morning, Adunni asked for a meeting. Not to negotiate. To be honest, she did not stand. She did not present slides. She spoke quietly. If we rush this, she said, we will grow fast and disappear faster. I would rather stop now than build something that forgets why it exists. No one interrupted her. Silence filled the room. Someone shifted in their chair. Then unexpectedly, one investor spoke. My mother cooked like this, he said. She never rushed. She died poor, he added softly. Then he looked up. Don't let her food die twice. Not everyone stayed. Some investors withdrew. Some partners disappeared. The pressure eased. The vision sharpened. Those who remained believed, not in speed, but in substance. Growth resumed. Slowly, carefully. One kitchen at a time, one city at a time. No noise, no shortcuts. And without realizing it, Adunni had built something rare, a business that refused to betray itself. Within a few years, her company would succeed beyond expectation. But success brings a final question. Who do you become when the world is finally listening? Success did not arrive the way Adunni imagined. There were no fireworks, no sudden joy, no moment where everything felt complete. Instead, there was a quiet realization one morning. She was no longer fighting to survive. The struggle that had shaped her hands, her silence, her patience, was finally behind her, and that realization frightened her more than poverty ever had. By the time people began calling it an empire, Adunni had stopped counting the years. Her kitchens operated across Nigeria, Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Port Harcourt. Thousands were employed. Most of them are women. Many of them women who had once stood where Adunni once stood. Skilled, capable, and invisible. She did not brand herself as a hero. She refused interviews at first, because she knew something the world often forgets. When people start praising you, they stop listening. The invitation came quietly. An international food conference, held in the United States. They wanted her story, her process, her philosophy. Adunni stared at the email for a long time. She had crossed many boundaries in her life, but this one felt different. This was not about food. It was about being seen. The conference hall was loud. Bright lights, large screens, endless applause. People spoke confidently about growth, disruption, dominance. Adunni waited backstage. She felt small again, not because she was unimportant, but because she had never built her life to impress rooms like this. When her name was called, the applause startled her. She walked onto the stage slowly, and for a moment, she said nothing. I don't know how to speak loudly, she began. The room quieted. I learned to cook because people were hungry, she continued. Not because I wanted to build a company. She spoke of her grandmother, of forgotten food, of patience in a world addicted to speed. When you rush what matters, she said softly, you don't grow faster, you grow hollow. There was no applause at first. Then the room stood. After that night, recognition followed. Awards, profiles, requests for mentorship. Adunni accepted some, refused many, because fame, she learned, can be just another kind of noise. And she had not built her life to become loud. One evening, without announcement, Adunni returned to the street where it had all begun. The old stall was gone. In its place stood a small, clean space. Simple, open, accessible. A plaque rested quietly on the wall. This is where it began. Children ate there now. Office workers passed by. Life continued. Adunni stood across the street and watched. She did not step inside. Some beginnings are meant to be remembered, not revisited. People often asked her, how much more do you want? Adunni never answered directly, because she had learned something important. Ambition does not disappear when hunger ends. It simply changes shape. Her question was no longer how much. It was for what. Adunni began investing quietly. Training kitchens, community programs, women who wanted to cook, manage, lead. She never put her name on the buildings. She never filmed the work. She believed the strongest things grow without witnesses. One night, alone in her office, Adunni thought about the life she could have lived. The louder version, the faster version, the one that chased attention. She realized something simple and final. She had not built an empire to be remembered. She had built it so others would not be forgotten. Legacy is not what carries your name. Legacy is what carries others forward. And somewhere in Nigeria tonight, a quiet woman is cooking food no one is paying attention to. Not yet. But if history has taught us anything, it is this. The world often overlooks the people who are quietly changing it, until one day, it can't anymore. You don't need to be loud to matter. Sometimes the quietest hands build the strongest futures. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for more real-life stories.